Demonstrators tries to form a human blockade at a San Francisco immigration court today, trying to stop ICE agents as they attempt to move detainees from a courthouse to a waiting van. They shove their way through the protesters and push their detainee into the van. But the crowd moves with them, including several protesters who threw themselves on the hood.
San Francisco became the stage for a high-stakes clash between federal immigration enforcement and defiant local resistance today. What began as a tense morning outside a courthouse spiraled into one of the most coordinated and controversial ICE operations the city has seen in years. It started with demonstrators gathering outside the San Francisco Immigration Court, locking arms to create a human barricade. Their goal was simple: stop federal agents from transferring detainees from the courthouse to waiting vans. Chanting, shouting, and standing shoulder to shoulder, they attempted to block every possible route. But ICE agents pushed forward with determination.
The gas! Go, go, go! Get the gas down! Get run over! Go, go, go! Good job, man!
Breaking through the wall of bodies, escorting detainees past angry faces, and forcing them into the vans. Some protesters escalated further, throwing themselves onto vehicle hoods, clutching at door handles, refusing to let go. Cell phone videos captured the chaos. Vans inching forward as activists held their ground, the sound of shouting mixing with the rumble of engines. What the crowd didn't know was that this confrontation was only the visible tip of a far larger, meticulously planned operation. Beneath the courthouse, a long-forgotten service tunnel.
From an ICE subsidiary telling them to report on a weekend, which is highly irregular.
So we know that this location ICE uses for their ISAP visits. They use a contractor, to be able to have this facility. This facility, as you can see, has no signs. It doesn't say who they are, the hours of operation.
Previously thought to be sealed and abandoned, had been quietly reactivated. Federal officials had spent weeks preparing it for what they called a controlled extraction. Over the course of a day, more than 2,100 undocumented migrants were moved out of San Francisco through this concealed route. IT was a maneuver right out of the military manual, precise, deliberate, and designed to avoid both media attention and direct confrontation. When protesters finally caught wind of the tunnel operation, they rushed toward the courthouse in a frenzy.
Judge issuing a pair of temporary restraining orders limiting the ability of immigration agents to detain people based merely on their race and ethnicity. Also requires detainees be given access to legal counsel.
Try to block exits and physically obstruct vehicles. Video footage shows activists clinging desperately to van doors, some being pulled along for several feet before letting go. Many called it a mass abduction in broad daylight. For critics of the Trump administration, the scene was proof of authoritarian tactics creeping into American cities. For supporters, it was long overdue enforcement in the face of years of political defiance. This wasn't a random sweep.
People getting in front of the cars. Oh my God, they're running over the people in the cars. Someone's gonna get run over. Wow, someone's hanging off the car. Oh my God. Oh, God!
Federal agents had executed what they internally referred to as a tunnel siege. The plan was simple but bold: bypass protesters, avoid cameras, and remove high-priority detainees without the usual delays that have plagued enforcement efforts in sanctuary cities. In San Francisco, federal immigration agents have long been hampered by local laws that limit cooperation with ICE. Sanctuary policies often prevent local police from sharing information about detainees.
Apply. Yes or no? No, you're not getting, you okay? All right, dude. Sir, were you going to comply? Yes or no?
You are not getting their information, bro.
Sir,
you are not getting their information.
Right now.
You are not getting their information.
Sir, open the door right now.
You are not getting their information.
Effectively shielding many from deportation. But on this day, ICE wasn't asking for cooperation. They were acting on their own. The operation's location was equally telling. ICE used a nondescript facility run by a private contractor. The building had no signage, no posted hours, and no obvious indication of its function. This level of secrecy made it nearly impossible for activists to organize in advance. According to DHS reports, most of the detainees arrested during this sweep were apprehended during routine court check-ins or inside courtrooms themselves. Many had outstanding final removal orders, meaning their deportation cases were already decided. The arrests blindsided activists who were used to spotting ICE in more public locations. Critics immediately raised concerns about due process, but federal officials pushed back. Legal status is not optional, one spokesperson said. It doesn't depend on criminal history, it's based on the law. Still, the political battle intensified. A federal judge quickly issued temporary restraining orders limiting ICE's ability to detain people solely based on race or ethnicity and requiring that detainees be granted access to legal counsel. But those orders came after the fact. By then, the bulk of the operation was already complete. Inside the courthouse, lawyers were left stunned as their clients were pulled from hearings mid-session. Activists flooded the hallways, shouting at agents and recording on their phones. "This isn't a safe space anymore," one immigration attorney remarked. "If it can happen here, it can happen anywhere." Outside, tensions boiled over. Protesters chained themselves to ICE vans, blocked exits, and even attempted to physically stop vehicles from moving. In the scuffle, several people fell to the ground, risking serious injury as vans rolled forward. Still, the agents didn't stop. Notably, no protesters were arrested for obstructing federal officers, an omission that left many wondering if officials wanted to avoid inflaming the situation further. The visuals were chaotic, rifles slung over shoulders, vans pushing through crowds, demonstrators clinging to doors. To some, it was the image of a government gone too far. To others, it was proof that ICE was finally enforcing the law in places that had ignored it for too long. Statistics from the operation reveal that roughly 30% of those detained had no criminal record, a figure activists seized on to argue that ICE was targeting harmless individuals.